Greetings and välkommen. I'm Catherine of Sky, and I hope to make your day refreshingly Swedish. So today, I'm going to talk about something that it came about with a conversation with a really nice lady when I went to a shop today. And she's a native Swede, and she asked me, she says, I've heard that other people, like Americans or anybody foreign, they think of Swedish people as very cool people and sort of unfriendly. And she asked me, do I get that impression from Swedes? And I thought about it, and I always was brought up to have that idea as well. I think that's a very common conception about any Nordic people, especially Swedes or Norwegians. And I thought about it a second, and I kind of realized where the incongruency lies in that. So one thing I've noticed is that when I engage someone in conversation, as in like on a train, most people are just going to be, looking at their phones or doing their own business, and maybe not even making eye contact. So, but if I initiate a conversation with somebody, they are quite happy to have a chat with me. And I found out some interesting things. I make a tiny friend for a second, and it's kind of cool. And I told her, I said, I have never felt unwelcome. I've never felt that Swedes are treating me coolly. That's not really a thing. In fact, they are very welcoming. They will speak English to you if you're speaking English to them. They'll speak whatever language you're speaking. I happen to speak mostly English. I am learning some Swedish, but it's not good enough for a whole conversation yet, unless I'm going on a taxi ride and the taxi driver doesn't speak English. But anyway, that's another thing altogether. But she asked me, and I'm like, well, actually, I have never felt that kind of coolness, especially in general interactions. And I got to thinking about it, and I think the problem with, especially in the conception or minds of Americans, is that Americans initiate a lot of conversation. Swedes don't initiate. They will be happy to respond, but they don't initiate. And maybe that's where Americans' conception comes from, because, I'm always greeted as I come into a shop, but usually the shopkeeper will not, go into a random conversation. They might help me with whatever I need, but usually that's also asked for, or they might say, is there anything I can help you with? And I'll say, oh, well, I need this and this and that. And that's actually how my interaction started today. I was buying a frying pan. So it kind of got into that point of like, well, I started telling her about, what I do and all of this kind of thing. And it was kind of a really interesting conversation. But I had to tell her, no, I've always felt the sense of community with Swedes. I've always felt like people just care about each other. I mean, it's very obvious in anything, even like a road interaction with a pedestrian versus a car. The car will stop for pedestrians, period. I mean, and it's all about safe driving and people having the empathy to be like, oh, that could be me there, waiting for a car to stop at the zebra crossings and stuff like that. Another story I can tell you is a little bit of an embarrassing one, but so a couple of times when I wear a skirt or a dress, sometimes it gets kind of caught in the back of my panties. And like it's stuck, and it's like it looks horrible, and you can sort of see the panties as well, and like in the back, and like from the front it's really hard to notice, and you don't really feel it either. So I've had that happen in America, and guess what? Americans were too polite to mention it. I think that's the opposite of politeness, because when that person gets home, they're gonna be, oh my God, how embarrassing! All day I was walking around like this. But Swedes are the opposite. They will tell you, even if it's like a complete stranger. And this is what happened to me. This happened to me once in the airport, where I came out of the airport bathroom and I just didn't straighten my dress correctly. And this Swedish lady just, maybe you'd like to fix your skirt. And I'm like, oh, wow, gosh. And I thanked her, because I'm sure that it's really hard for Swedes. They are kind of shy in a lot of ways. Most people, some are not, but a lot of them are quite reserved. but they're very kind. And then the next time happened when I went to see my framer for pictures, and this random guy who came in the shop mentioned it to me. And, I didn't know these people. They're not my friends. They're just people looking out for me, because we're a community here. So I would say one thing is that if you want a Swedish friend, they take a lot of getting to know. I think that would be a good way to say it. Like many months of conversation before they're actually thinking about becoming your friend. So far, I haven't really been able to make a full Swedish friend other than my boyfriend, who is kind of a different category of friend, I suppose. And I find it really difficult. I mean, even with people I've talked to for months and months and months, I still don't really have like an actual friendship where I talk to them outside of wherever I started to talk to them at. So I think that most Swedes are quite reserved, but coolness, they are not cold people, man. They are so friendly and warm and empathetic and lovely. And so I'm really, I'm hoping to shatter that mythology, that misconception. It's like an urban legend. But I think that most visitors to Sweden are not going to be here long enough to make friends, right? They're just going to be, wanting to have interactions. And if you want to talk to a Swede, just talk to them. They will respond to you. Trust me. They're not going to ignore you. They're not going to just be, oh, humph, I guess that's what people expect when they say cool. But yeah, they're really friendly, nice people. They really enjoy actually learning about your culture. I found that they want me to tell stories about, my life in America, and just other things like that. And it's really lovely to talk to somebody new and figure out their perspectives and just see their impression of the world. How is their life existing, So it was really cool to have that conversation. And hopefully I have shattered that myth for you. If you want to talk to a Swede, just talk to them. They may not initiate the conversation, but they will certainly respond. And I guarantee you'll find an interesting story at the end of it. So thank you so very much for joining me. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you next time.
Arap kapısı onun